President Donald Trump is overtly using the justice system to go after his enemies and to protect his friends. A case in Colorado is about to test just how far the federal government can go in pursuit of the president's preferences in prosecution. The state of Colorado is now pushing back hard against the Justice Department getting involved in the case of Tina Peters. She's the county clerk convicted in an election system tampering case. The state AG's office says the feds getting involved in her appeal on a state-level case is, quote, a naked political attempt to threaten or intimidate either the judge or the attorneys on the case. Peters is just starting her 9-year sentence on felony convictions for sneaking a hacker into Mesa County's voting systems back when she was clerk. They were searching, unsuccessfully, for evidence of President Trump's election rigging claims. Peters was unrepentant clear up to sentencing. The feds say they are investigating Peters' prosecution as possible abuse of the judicial system. Democratic Attorney General Phil Weiser filed a response in court today, and he says it is the unusual federal meddling in the case that is out of line. He's calling on the judge directly to reject it and to tell the feds to stay out of the state case. Some Republicans have suggested, including here on this program, that the Trump administration should withhold federal funding from Colorado in order to squeeze Democratic Governor Jared Polis to pardon Peters. Polis's office has repeatedly ducked our questions on whether he would trade federal funding for freeing Tina Peters. The city of Lakewood is preparing for who knows what. Trump administration signaled it's preparing to sell off a bunch of government buildings at the Federal Center in Lakewood and lay off potentially thousands of workers in the community. But getting firm answers out of the feds is near impossible, both for our journalists and Lakewood's mayor. She spoke with our Mark Salinger.
The future of the Denver Federal Center in Lakewood could be rocky, but honestly, no one really knows.
Lots of questions, not a lot of answers right now.
Mayor Wendy Strom has the difficult, if not impossible, job of preparing for the unknown.
It's very hard to make plans when you don't know what to plan for.
She estimates 8,000 federal workers live in her city. The majority work here at the Federal Center, a campus housing the largest collection of government agencies outside of Washington, D.C. The Trump administration has signaled they're ready to sell off at least some buildings and cut staffing numbers. Not even the mayor knows for sure, though.
I'm talking to staff every single day. Do we have any updates? Have we heard anything?
The General Services Administration briefly published a list of non-core government properties last week before deleting it a day later. Several buildings in Lakewood were on the list, including this Bureau of Reclamation building, where Mayor Strom says employees help manage the federal dam system,
which had nearly the entire building remodeled in 2019 and 2020 for a cost of $33.1 million and housed more than 700 employees.
I'm saying, what are we doing? And honestly, it just doesn't seem very thoughtful.
Denise Maez is a former regional administrator for the General Services Administration under Joe Biden. She says her former agency already had a system for getting rid of empty and underused buildings. Now she wonders whether Elon Musk and Doge know what they're cutting.
One moment there's a list of so many leases that are going to be terminated, something like 400, and then another minute it's cut down, and then another minute there's no list at all.
Since World War II, it's been a very vital part of Lakewood's economy.
The Federal Center and the thousands of people who work here are a major part of Lakewood. No one really knows what comes next.
We'll continue to keep talking to people and sharing the information that we do have.
The Federal Center has a secure perimeter with a fence and guards at every entrance. It's still not clear if it would even be possible to sell certain buildings, let's say within the campus in the middle, to private buyers, and how non-government employees could get through those checkpoints. Regardless, the city of Lakewood is preparing to take a major hit to their economy if any of these cuts become reality, Kyle.
The way that information is flowing and getting contradicted and people are just trying to sort out fact from fiction is really bizarre these days. How does the mayor get information?
Yeah, it's hard for us even. We're putting in requests to federal agencies and getting nothing back. The mayor says a lot of her information right now is coming from friends and neighbors who work in the Federal Center or have friends that work in the Federal Center, and that's how they're getting a lot of information right now to try and help prepare to make these big decisions.
Mark Salinger will stay on it for us. Thank you, Mark. Our next conversation tonight is with Democratic Senator Michael Bennett. We discussed a few of the issues that we've already covered here tonight. Senator Bennett told me He doesn't actually know how many of Colorado's 40,000 federal workers have already been laid off by Elon Musk and the Trump administration. There's so much being made about these federal employees who are losing their jobs. But Coloradans who work in the private sector get fired by people, sometimes billionaires, all the time without any public outcry. The only difference is now that people getting fired by a billionaire work for the government.
Well, I think that when anybody gets fired, they should be fired for a reason, and they haven't given any reason. And anybody who has spent any time with mayors and county commissioners, small business owners, people that come to the western slope of Colorado or are concerned about the condition of our watersheds throughout the entire state of Colorado. I've never met a person who believes that the Forest Service is adequately staffed.
Let's take on another topic we've discussed here tonight. So while Governor Polis has sidestepped our questions about whether he would pardon Tina Peters if President Trump threatened Colorado's federal funding, Bennett, who's said to be eyeing a run for governor in 2026 when Polis's term limited out, Bennett said he would not cave and free Peters. What do you think the state's response should be to that?
I think the state's response should be to refuse to do that. I think that is a terrible way for a democracy to operate. And by the way, Kyle, let me just mention in that context, I was one of the very first people to criticize Joe Biden when he pardoned his son, when he pardoned members of his family. So for people out there that are saying, oh, this is a guy who's just complaining about Republicans, I hope you know that what I'm worried about in this country is the rule of law and our ability to pass something to our kids and our grandkids that looks like what we receive from our parents and grandparents. And there is no one that has ever, at least as far as I know, that's ever disregarded the rule of law or the tenets of our democracy or our free press that we take so dear more than Donald Trump has. And that sort of effort is one that distorts our system of justice and distorts the Americans and Coloradans' right to be able to expect fair dealing from their government.
And lastly, Senator, it's been widely reported that you're considering a run for governor of Colorado next year. I am told that you are not allowed by ethics rules to answer questions about that while you are in your Senate office at the Capitol. So the next time we talk, could you slip out to a Starbucks or something so we could have a conversation about that?
I will do it. I will do it, Kyle. And thanks a lot for abiding by that sensible rule. And I'll talk to you about it soon.
So I then asked Senator Bennett why, when Elon Musk and President Trump are dismantling whole government agencies as judges rule that they are breaking the law by doing that he's down there in the Senate basement sweating some detail about an ethics guideline on how he answers questions. His response to me was a 4-minute stream of consciousness on why he feels that Democrats should continue to follow the rules even as Trump bends and breaks them. A dissertation that literally traveled through space and time, from the fall of the Roman Empire to the presence of Space Command in Colorado. If you want to hear it in full, buckle up. You can find it in the full unedited conversation on the next YouTube channel or the next podcast feed. So it turns out that just abruptly resigning in the middle of an ethics investigation does not make the issue disappear, because now former Democratic State Senator Sonia Jaquez Lewis is under investigation by prosecutors in Boulder and Denver. The senator from Broomfield was being investigated by fellow legislators after staff claimed that she had been using her office folks to do yard work and to bartend a party at her home, and that she withheld wages from some of her staff members while improperly paying other people out of campaign money. Jaquez Lewis resigned in the middle of the investigation shortly before the Ethics Committee determined that at least one letter of support submitted by a former aide was fabricated. The aide told senators she had nothing to do with it, that she hadn't talked to the senator in more than a year. Prosecutors in Denver and Boulder told us they opened an investigation after the issue was referred to them by the state Senate. Jaquez Lewis told me today she knows exactly which one of her former colleagues did this, and she called it mean-spirited. If Democrats at the state capitol thought that they could tamp down criticism of this year's most sweeping gun bill by watering down its impact, well, the gun rights protest out on the Capitol steps this morning suggests the Dems were mistaken. Our Angeline McCall looks at how what effectively would have been a ban on new sales of certain guns instead just turned into a gun safety class requirement and still has people fired up.
The last 24 hours.
Opinions from outside,
Permission to exercise our Second Amendment right.
vocalized inside,
Thanks for your testimony.
an hour's worth of testimony at the Colorado State Capitol.
We're seeing first-time buyers and long-time owners purchasing in anticipation of these laws.
Senate Bill 3 heard in the House today, bringing advocates on different sides of the same firearm bill.
This is a level of firepower that a civilian does not need access to.
Even though the bill is not a ban, it would stop the sale of commonly purchased semi-automatic firearms capable of accepting detachable magazines.
This bill is about recognizing the deadly reality of modern-day mass shootings and doing everything in our power to prevent them.
I can tell you firsthand that the ripple effect of trauma never goes away.
There is a loophole, though. If people take safety courses, they could still purchase the otherwise banned guns, a process opponents say is unnecessarily bureaucratic.
After 31 years as a cop, I can tell you this will not stop murder. It will not stop a mass shooting. It will not stop suicides for those who are committed to ending your own life.
Some of those exemption courses would be done through Colorado Parks and Wildlife, where right now they offer hunting safety courses. And our partners at Colorado Politics have reported on a potential amendment giving CPW the power to process applications to purchase those semi-automatic weapons rather than county sheriffs.
As far as how does this fit into our mission, it's certainly not something we've taken on in the past.
As opponents say the bill is too sweeping, advocates say it's the next step needed to prevent gun violence.
The current bill was also proposed to enforce existing laws, including a 2013 law that bans large capacity magazines. Supporters of the bill say those laws are often not enforced, and that was a point of questioning in committee today when Denver Democratic Representative Jennifer Bacon asked sheriffs testifying if they plan to enforce this bill if it does in fact pass.
And so far, no votes today, just a lot of talking. Angeline McCall, thank you very much. Conflict between Woodland Park leaders and their local school board ends in an abrupt decision to pull school funding. And speaking of dumpster fires,
Republic Services Trash Truck Rodeo. Yes, that's a thing.
it is a thing, and he knows because he is the trash truck rodeo champ. He's doing tricks with trash on board. Next. What a mess in Woodland Park. City Council voted last week to indefinitely postpone an effort to repeal a sales tax that benefits the school district there. That postponement lasted all of 4 days. In a surprise move yesterday, City Council voted to defund their school district, said the school board is trying to strong-arm the city into continuing that funding for decades. An emergency meeting yesterday, Woodland Park city leaders unanimously voted to end a 1.09% sales tax that's earmarked for public schools. This is effective immediately and is expected to cost the schools $3 million a year. City leaders weren't confident the district was being straight about where the money was going, but just last week, they said that they would work all this out. That agreement went poof over the weekend after City Council was made aware of an upcoming school board meeting where the board was set to discuss the sale of a district building to a charter school, Merritt Academy. The whole deal was based on keeping this sales tax around for another 30 years. City Council says they were blindsided. The school leaders said they were just trying to preserve school funding.
A clause regarding the sales tax into something like this may not actually be about trying to tie the city up. It might be about security for the district and security for Merritt Academy.
None of us want to see school funding be cut, but I'll be damned if I'm going to give up our plenary legislative power as basically being held hostage at gunpoint.
School district spokesperson said the leaked school board agenda item was improperly marked as an action item. They were just going to discuss it. The district is going to need some new leadership for that discussion and the coming funding cut because the superintendent and the chief financial officer resigned over the weekend.
An early preview of spring. In spite of the abundant cloud cover, temperatures today way above average in the upper 60s and lower 70s. Still very mild out there and hoping for maybe a nice sunset. We've got a little time. Still 63 in Denver. Another warm day coming up. Winds will increase tomorrow, so a fire weather watch will go out for eastern Colorado. This all ahead of a storm approaching Colorado for Friday. Big wind producer. How much rain and snow? Oh boy, this thing is moving so fast. It's going to be in Nebraska and South Dakota by Friday night, but there's a chance we'll see a rain or snow shower here, and this will be a storm that will impact travel across the state simply because of the timing and the wind. High clouds tonight, a mostly sunny day tomorrow. Beautiful weather for the next 48 hours. This evening, not too shabby to be out and about, walk the dog and just enjoy a little outdoors time. You get a chance tomorrow and Thursday. Friday will be windy and cooler with a chance for light rain and snow. Clearing for the weekend, and the luck of the Irish with you on Monday, St. Patrick's Day, a high near 70.
If you're along West Colfax, your trash bin is in good hands. The best in the nation, actually. We'll meet the trash hauler who won gold in garbage collecting. That's next. The public's reaction to trash pickup is usually, yep, they got it, or they missed it. Rarely is somebody like, damn, the trash guys rocked it this week. Our Amy Hunter spoke with a sanitation worker who does wow the crowd.
For those who think there's no glory in trash, a Commerce City receptacle driver is ready to prove them wrong.
Number 17, Ron Torres.
Woo! Representing the Mile High, baby.
Ron competed in the 2025 Rodeo National Championship in Arizona.
There he goes.
It's a biannual event held by waste collection company Republic Services to showcase the skills of its truck drivers.
The first thing in the competition is the serpentine, where we have to snake through toters, forward and backward without hitting any of them. Yes, it's difficult, but those are maneuvers I do every day, so that's kind of like helps me out.
From parallel parking,
Nice job.
to navigating the tight space of an alley,
If you hit anything, you lose points.
Ron showed his skills could not be beat. Ron can officially say he is one of the best garbage truck drivers in the country, at least among Republic Services drivers.
I give all the credit to my wife because she pushed me into this, told me to give it a shot, and I did. And look at me now.
It's a title Ron is proud to hold.
Oh, the champ!
And one he says any of his fellow garbage truck drivers should compete for.
Just give it a shot. You never know. You might win. You might beat me.
Oh, I love it. Amy Hunter with that story. Ron won at the state level for 2 years in a row before he went on to the Nationals. When they win Nationals, drivers get a $5,000 bonus and an extra week of vacation. Congrats to Ron. He should run for mayor is what he should do. Thank you for feedback. Maybe you got something to say about Ron. I'll check the emails during the break. Next. Your feedback on Ron, the champion trash truck driver, via text. Love and thanks to the people who pick up our trash. I'm serious. You want to watch the wheels come off of cities and civilizations? Let the trash pile up for a couple of weeks and just see what happens. Sanitation workers are absolutely essential. This tonight from Johnny, who says, the only reason that we watch your show is we're waiting to watch Entertainment Tonight. You're a loser and always have been. Great news, Johnny. Entertainment Tonight's next.